Hello, and welcome to Learn and Talk's writing overview for the task 2 of the IELTS exam. Today we're going to talk about everything you need to know to do a really good job on your task 2. So for writing task 2, you need to write an essay to show that you can clearly organize your thoughts and demonstrate your control of English vocabulary and grammar. So we're going to go over 4 main things. What is expected of you, how to manage your time, some discussion about how you can plan effectively, and how you can review your writing very effectively before submitting it. So when you're doing a task 2, there are several different types of questions that you might get, and that's very important. So here we have for you three common types of questions and examples for them. So one of them is an agree or disagree question. Some people say that in all levels of education, from primary schools to universities, too much time is spent learning facts and not enough on learning practical skills. Do you agree or disagree? So in this example, we have your topic given to you here, and then here's your main question. Do you agree or disagree? So you need to think about the topic, decide whether you agree or disagree, and then answer that in your writing. Another example, we have a discussion question sample. So for this one, some people think that the teenage years are the happiest times of most people's lives. Others think that adult life brings more happiness, in spite of greater responsibilities. Discuss both views and give your own opinion. Now again, we have our topic, and then here's the instruction, the task that has been presented to us. And this means that you have to talk about both views in your essay, not just one. So in one paragraph, you're going to discuss the benefits of the teenage years, or the idea that the teenage years are better. And in your second paragraph, you're going to discuss the idea that the adult years are better. You need to discuss both views, and then you can give your own opinion in the conclusion. Okay? Then let's take a look at this next example here, which is a 2-part question. So our topic is very simple. Nowadays, we are producing more and more rubbish. The tasks, we have 2 tasks. Why do you think this is happening? What can governments do to help reduce the amount of rubbish produced? So why is there so much garbage? What are the causes of garbage? And what are the solutions? What are the solutions that governments can do to fix how much garbage we have? So in this case, you should answer, in one paragraph, the causes. Describe the causes. And in your second paragraph, you should describe possible solutions. Okay? So these are very important because according to the type of question, you might have to write about different things in your essay. And of course, this is something that we go over and practice in far more detail during the lessons. Let's move on to look at a sample response. So here we have our sample questions, and now we're going to look at our sample response. So we're going to look, this is the second sample we looked at. Some people think that the teenage years are the happiest times of most people's lives, and others think that adult life is better. Discuss both views and give your opinion. So here we have a very good response, and this is what your writing task 2 should look like. So we have an introduction, we have a conclusion, and we have 2 body paragraphs between them. And this is what we really recommend. Of course, you can sometimes write 3 body paragraphs, but because you only have so much time, and you're supposed to do this in 40 minutes, because you only have so much time for your task 2, we recommend 2 paragraphs. So let's take a look at why this is such a good response. Well, we have our introduction, and we have it introduce the topic. There's a lively debate nowadays about which period of life brings the happiest times. While some people claim that the adolescent years bring the most joy, Others believe that adulthood is better. This essay will discuss both viewpoints before coming to a reasoned conclusion. Okay, so this is fantastic. We introduce the topic, we show what the two paragraphs will talk about, and then we say this is what our essay will look at, both viewpoints. So body paragraph 1. The teenage years bring many advantages as well as disadvantages. This is a very good topic sentence. It introduces what the rest of the paragraph will be about. Let's look at paragraph 2. On the other hand, adulthood has plenty of advantages and disadvantages. Great. So now we're looking at one paragraph talks about the advantages and disadvantage of being a teenager, and the second paragraph talks about the advantages and disadvantages of being an adult. Finally, let's look at the conclusion. In conclusion, both the formative years and adulthood have their share of ups and downs. However, I believe that the freedom of making decisions and managing your own money in adulthood outweighs any level of happiness that teenagers experience. This is fantastic. You see, there's the opinion in here, and it says, give your own opinion in the instruction. So that's why that's okay. Normally, when we're doing formal writing, we try to keep our opinion out of it, but when the instruction asks for it, it can be very effective to put your opinion in the conclusion. Another thing to notice is that both the introduction and the conclusion are short and to the point. So that's what we're really looking for in a very good task 2 response. And of course, you can see we have the word count here, 274 words. So it's over 250, and that's very important because maybe you write less than 250, and then in that case, you'll actually lose band score. So maybe you write with a band score of 7, but if you write less than 250, you'll maybe only get a 6.5 or a 6. So that's very, very important. Okay. So what exactly will the markers be looking for? There's 4 areas that you get marked on. That's your task achievement, your spelling and grammar, your lexical resources, and your coherence and cohesion. And of course, as I've said before, you have to meet that minimum word count. That's very important. And you should spend 40 minutes on task 2. During the whole writing, you have 60 minutes. Of that, you should spend 20 on task 1 and 40 on task 2, because this is the bigger, more difficult writing task. So let's talk about task achievement. The main things you want to look at is, did you answer the question? And not only that, but did you discuss both viewpoints when asked to? So in a discussion question where it says, discuss both of these viewpoints, did you do that? If you only talk about one viewpoint, then your task achievement score will go down. And did you answer both questions in a 2-part question? So for example, when we were looking at the causes and solutions to garbage, do you only look at the causes, or did you look both at the causes and the solutions? So that's very important. Always make sure that you're completing the task that has been given to you. Spelling and grammar. This is also very important. I'm sure you expected this, but one of the things that the testers will be looking for is, did you get everything right? Some examples of that include your subject-verb agreement. So he walked to the store, that's incorrect. It should be he walks to the store. Your spelling, are you spelling the words correctly? So little mistakes like here we have provides is misspelled and services is misspelled. Those little mistakes will add up, and that's going to reduce your band score again. Punctuation is also very important. So as you can see here, we have some writing without any punctuation, whereas, it's important that you have your full stops and your commas in the correct spot, and that your sentence structure is good. These are just a few examples of the spelling and grammar that will be looked at. And of course, we'll talk about all sorts of different grammar in the lessons going forward. Another thing that they're looking for is your lexical resources. Now, what exactly does this mean? Well, do you write with complex sentences? So instead of just writing, he goes to the store, he sees a dog as two separate sentences, can you combine those together effectively? You know, he goes to the store and sees a dog on the way. While he goes to the store, he sees a dog running past him. So instead of using many very small sentences, are you able to combine sentences effectively? And do you use a variety of different sentence structures so that you're not always saying the same type of sentence? And of course, do you avoid repeating the same words and demonstrate a large vocabulary? Now, it is important to say that sometimes you have to use the correct word and you might end up saying it more than once. That's okay. But are you avoiding the repetition of words unnecessarily? So when you can, try to use a better vocabulary. And that's why we have a picture here of an online thesaurus, showing a different synonym for very. So instead of writing, this makes my teachers very happy, you could say it makes my teachers extremely happy, truly happy, absolutely happy. Okay? Now, another very important thing, and this might be the most important thing, is coherence and cohesion. So I have two pictures for you here. We have a straight line from intro, middle to the end. Okay, that's easy to understand. And that's what your essay should be like. Your essay should be like a straight line that whoever is reading it can understand, okay, this is the introduction, these are the main points, this is the conclusion. In the other picture at the bottom, we have a maze of just crazy ideas all over the place. And that will not make sense to whoever is reading your essay. So the main things to look at here are, does your essay follow paragraph structure? Do you have an introduction and a conclusion? And do your ideas transition smoothly? And is your writing easy to understand? So if your writing looks like the example we showed you with the 4 different paragraphs, and you use good transition words, it should make sense. So now let's talk a little bit about time management. You should give yourselves 40 minutes to do the writing task 2 from start to finish. This means that you should spend a little bit of time at the beginning and at the end to both prepare, brainstorm, and plan your essay, and a little bit of time at the end to look it over, read it for any spelling mistakes, any grammar mistakes, that sort of thing. So here I've presented you the idea that 3 minutes at the beginning, 3 minutes at the end. You can change those times a little bit, maybe 4 minutes and 2 minutes, maybe a little bit longer overall. But the most important thing is that you give yourself a little bit of time at the beginning and at the end. Okay, so what does planning your essay at the beginning look like? Well, this is time that you should spend brainstorming ideas. Think about all sorts of different things to do with the topic and quickly write an outline, much like this one here, for what your essay will look like. So in this outline, we have, as our introduction, technology is more harmful than beneficial. Okay, that's what I'm going to talk about in my essay. My first paragraph will be about the negative effects on health. Okay, and the main points I'm going to talk about are obesity, eyesight, and back pain caused from spending too much time on the computer. Then my second paragraph will be about the negative effects on social life. Okay, and these will be my main points, will be no interaction with others, missing real world experiences, and no opportunity to learn social skills. So you can see here, paragraph 1 is one idea, negative effects on health, and paragraph 2 is another idea, negative effects on social life. And everything in those paragraphs will be about that. Then finally, I have a conclusion. In conclusion, the disadvantages outweigh the advantages, and that's just me saying my opinion again at the end. Now, of course, this is just an outline, so all the details, the perfect sentences, the grammar, that's all going to be what I write for the next 30, 35 minutes, okay? But this kind of outline can be so helpful because then you know what are the main ideas that I want to talk about in my first paragraph and in my second paragraph. Then when we talk about reviewing our writing at the end of it, now that 35 minutes has gone by and we've got a little bit of time, how can we spend this time to make sure we get the best mark on this task 2? First, make sure you have an introduction and a conclusion. You should see them and look them over first. Oftentimes, if you have a really good introduction and a really good conclusion, that's going to make your essay so much easier to understand. So check those over first. Then make sure to check for spelling and grammar errors. So read over everything you've done, and maybe you'll catch 1 or 2 spelling mistakes. And that can be very helpful. Finally, if you have a little bit more time, reread your entire essay. If something doesn't make sense to you, then it probably won't make sense to whoever is marking your essay. So now is your time to fix it. Maybe a sentence you wrote, you read it and you go, what? What was I trying to say? Fix it. Rewrite it so it makes more sense. Okay, so the main points we've talked about today are that you should make sure you answer the question that is being asked. Avoid spelling and grammar mistakes. Use varied sentence structure and use an increased vocabulary. Write clearly and stay on topic. Okay, and this includes your paragraph structures, your introduction, and your conclusion. If you can do this and you can manage your time well, give yourself a little bit at the beginning to plan your essay and a little bit at the end, a little bit of time at the end to review your essay, then you should do very well on your writing task 2. Okay, thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions, please write them down to ask later. And keep in mind that we'll be doing a lot of practice and going into more detail on everything we've covered here today. Thank you.